All right guys, welcome back to episode 3 of On the Bank. We're obviously out here again on the bank in search of one of my favorite fish species. If you live anywhere near the 47th parallel of the United States, you know it can be a long winter. So this fish, suckers, is one of the first fish that you can access in the spring. Maybe the ice is just going off the lakes, these rivers are opening up, and they're really the first fish that you can target here in the Northland because panfish are still out kind of in the basins in deep water, not accessible from the bank. But here we can actually come out and catch fish on a long rod. So I look forward to the first couple warm days of spring every year, put the ice rods away, do something really simple and soak up the rays of spring in search of suckers on the local rivers. So let's go see who's home. Fish out some polarized glasses here. Cool thing about this is we're gonna walk out to a spot right here, but you always want to take a peek in the bank to see if those fish are showing themselves. Suckers like to kind of run tight to the bank. We got some color because we recently got some rain. I fished here a little earlier this month and it was like almost too low for the fish to run. They almost like to sit in little pools rather than the spot that we're about to fish, and I'll break down for you. But now that we've got some rain, we got more flow, kind of invigorates fish to start running, and we have a little bit more color, so that's gonna warm up the water as well. I have a good feeling that we'll get a couple sucks today. When life gives you adversity, you use ingenuity. Fashion a crude bridge. Like I said, we got some rain. Rivers came up pretty quick. Wouldn't call that much of a bridge, especially when you got ankle boots on. So grab this old log. Hopefully it's trusty enough to get us without getting too wet across. Yeah. Bada bang. Shoot. I'll probably do. Let's give it a shot. All right. A little tight rope action here. Look at that. Oh. See if little Kyle can make it across here, but should be good. Oh yeah, the staff sure helps. Nice. It's dark, you can't see, but there's a couple nice sized redhorse, that's good. I'll kind of talk about the phenology of the different species that run. Typically right away when you get here, early spring, big female white suckers run. And then later on you kind of get into redhorse species, river redhorse, greater redhorse, silver redhorse, which are some of the larger redhorse species. And then the later you get, the warmer the water, you start getting smaller redhorse, like shorthead redhorse, and them things are pesky. They'll peck at your bait. You need to use little tiny hooks. They're not as easy to catch, or not as fun to catch because they're quite a bit smaller, but there's some horse like white suckers and redhorse that can be caught and really put a bend in your rod here. So here we are. This is a confluence. So you've got one river here, one river here. They do both run through different watersheds. So this particular river on my right has a bit of dirt in it essentially. This river runs a little clearer, this river runs a little dirtier, and where they meet creates a seam, which is a navigation route for fish working their way upriver. So my intention with this spot is to fish that seam. And it basically will act as a corridor for fish to run right into my night crawler. Some good places to fish for suckers, like any fish, confluences congregate fish. But some of the best spots for suckers are just little slow eddies where they're taking a break as they make their way upriver. But we might check on an eddy later, we'll see how this fishes. But for now, this is our spot. First order of business, find a high quality sand stick. So we're gonna put our gear down and go look for a good sand stick to punch in the mud, get to fishing. So as you'll see in a moment, the name of this game is literally just sit and wait, soaking a crawler on the bottom. And you could just stand here and hold your rod, but who knows how long it'll take to get a bite. If they're really going, you can sit here and hold your rod and it doesn't take long to get a bite. But we're gonna camp out and just wait and see if they show up. So we gotta get a sand stick, like I said. Now, the woods are just littered with like V-shaped branches, right? Don't go rip one off a green tree. There's obviously tons of dead stuff. This is a perfect one right here. So this is a sand stick or a Y stick. We'll punch this in the mud, and we're just gonna watch the rod tip like a hawk. So I'm coming in super light, like I don't bring a whole lot of stuff. This cooler acts like basically 3 different purposes. It's my tackle bag, it's my cooler, and it's my bait container. So I got water and lunch, a little bit of tackle. I call this my bag of suck. It's just like all the dumb sinkers that I don't use anymore. Got some small little eagle claw hooks I'll show you. Swivels that I don't really use anymore. Stuff I'm not afraid to lose. And this is all I come in with. A few hooks, a few sinkers, a few swivels. Simple little rod setup. I think this is like a 7-foot medium light spinning rod. And I got 6 to 8 pound mono on it. This happens to be a 6 pound mono. And like I said, crummy little lead bullet weight that I'm probably not going to use for bass fishing anymore. Perfect for this. Little barrel swivel, foot and a half leader of the same monofilament. You don't even really need leader material. You can just cut off a chunk of what's spooled onto your reel. And then just a regular old hook, man. You need to gauge the hook small enough because these fish's mouths aren't that big really. They're little vacuums, but like I said, those little Redhorse, they don't get the bait really well. Some of those bigger ones will suck it up like a vacuum, like I said. They are suckers after all. But yeah, I'll show you. Take a crawler, just start threading it on. And I don't like to use really too much crawler at all. See, I filled the shank of the hook and then I'll just leave a little tiny tag, pinch it off. That's it, man. As basic as you can get. And like I say, whether you live in the 47th parallel north or not, you're bank fishing the exact same way no matter where you live. Soaking a crawler or some kind of cut bait or some stinky bait on the bottom for carp or catfish, same thing, but here up north. So you can kind of see that current seam. We got a southeast wind blowing into us, which is kind of a problem, but we'll work around it. But obviously there's this slicked off area, and that's the current seam. So it kind of gives me a marker to cast that. I'm gonna bomb one out there for now, right in that current seam. Now I wanna feel for bottom. There's bottom. Tighten up on that. Literally just set it there and watch that rod tip get to bucking. So I think an important key with this is you want to have a tight connection from your sinker to your rod tip. So I'll occasionally just slightly reel up and make sure that I'm tight to that sinker. And I kind of alluded to the wind that we have today. The current's going this way. We got wind in our face. So what ends up happening is the wind pushes the bow in your line. So you're constantly kind of trying to manage the slack, keeping the line tight, because these bites can be pretty subtle. So you want to have a really good connection to that sinker. And when we do get a bite, I'll show you kind of how that works. It's not like a get up and woo-ha. You kind of got to feel your way into the hook set. Getting bite, there he is. Oh, that's a big, beautiful Redhorse there. Didn't take long. I mean, we're just sitting here gawking at suckers as they run up the bank. Like I said, these things got power, man. They're fun. Bring your kids out here, have a blast. That's a nice Redhorse there. Come here, buddy. Look at that big head on him. Oh, yeah. Look at that sucker. Literally. Right on. Got us a nice Redhorse to start the day. See, they're a big, broad fish, man. They got a lot of power, they fight hard, and they're easy to catch. Like, bring your kids out here. Come out and soak up the first rays of the sun and get bit. You can catch a lot of these fish in a day too. A lot of people consider these things trash fish, but I love them, man. Help shake the rust off for the season ahead. Put a bend in the rod. Let's get her back. Oh yeah. Slow poke. Oh, things are coming to life. Sometimes you kind of got to go for the layup. Like I said, I was combing that outer channel. It's a little funner fight when they're way out there like that, but why fish out there when there's plenty of them right next to the bank? So I shortened up my lead to about 10 feet in front of the bank, and we got bit in 2 minutes. Get another crawler going. You know, the beauty of a river is that it's such a multi-species mecca, and a lot of times if you're just soaking a crawler on the bottom, you never know what you're going to catch. You know, around here targeting suckers, and a lot of times that's what you're going to catch mainly, but you catch walleyes, smallmouth, maybe a rogue catfish, you know, all kinds of weird little bottom dwellers out here on the river. And that's the kind of the thing about spring. Once this water starts warming up, fish just come out of the woodwork. They come out of these holes that they winter in the river, really start moving up close to the bank. So that's my favorite thing about rivers, is just the multi-species aspect. You never know what you're going to catch.
Big buff just went past the camera.
Nuh-uh, like right there?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, here comes a sucker too, right over the camera. 2 of them.
So yeah, we kind of talked about how there's all kinds of true sucker species, white suckers, long-nosed suckers, blue suckers, yada yada, a whole freaking encyclopedia of suckers. And you got your redhorse, all kinds of different redhorse and stuff, but the largest member of the sucker family are actually buffalo. A lot of people think they're carp. They're not carp. They're the largest member of the sucker family. But there's black buffalo, smallmouth buffalo, and bigmouth buffalo being the biggest of the buffalo species that, you know, they can get 60, 70 pounds. But they are filter feeders, and so good luck catching them on a night crawler. It does happen, but I wouldn't say you could come out and target buffalo fish with a crawler on the bottom. But we actually just had a nice big buffalo fish come by right here on the bank. So these fish are obviously utilizing this area to come through, and look at us, we're parked and ready. Oh, there we go. Boom! Right in the sweet spot, rolling heavy, big head shakes. Jeez, these things got big heads, man. Obviously. Get up here, girl. Oh, it is a cat. We got a cat. Wow. That is actually a first for me in the spring. I have not caught a catfish down here in my life of a lot of fishing here. Channel cat. Watch out for those spines, but croaking at me. Springtime cat. Like I said, you never know what you're going to catch. Smallmouth, walleyes, buffaloes, all kind of sucker species, and channel catfish. Cool. See if we can get that dang old barb out of there. They got hard mouths, never real easy. Mercy. Come on, baby. There we go. Frickin' channel cat, eh? Croaking. Sweet. Oh, this is awesome. This fish just moving in all over the place. And we're just chilling on the riverbank, watching waterfowl and rod tips bob.
How about that?
How about that cat?
We were just talking about it.
We were just talking. Kyle was asking me if I've ever caught catfish down here. And like, honestly, it's so early in the year, the water's still pretty cold. I don't think the cats are moving much out of their holes yet. And to be honest, catfish are relatively new to our area. I totally, completely cut my teeth fishing both these rivers on foot, wading around. I've caught a million of every species. Never ever once saw, heard, or caught a catfish until about 8 years ago. All of a sudden we got catfish up here. So kind of a cool added species that I guess we get to catch out here. But like I say, first for me, this far north on this river. There we go. See, I really fidgeted with that one, and I'll show you, I can tell right away. So we fish a little farther out in the current seam, and this is what we're getting bit by, shorthead redhorse. But these fish have much smaller mouths, as you can see. So, not easy for them to get the hook in there. You know, by design, suckers are bottom feeding fish. Obviously, their snout is faced downward to just basically pick up stuff along the bottom. So you'd think that they orient towards the bottom, but what we're noticing today, it's midday, high sun, not a ton of clouds. These fish are actually riding pretty high to the point where they're almost right underneath the surface. If that's the case, they're not face to face with their night crawler on bottom. So given that we've got some midday warmth and these fish are up, there's tons of fish, we're seeing them, but we're not getting as many bites as you would think that you would, being that there's this many fish here. So I have typically done better in the evenings when they slunk down, when they sink down a little bit. But right now it's cool to watch them. Unfortunately, I don't think they're getting too close to our bait. So I think we're gonna see if we can scratch another one out here, and then we're gonna go to a shallow eddy. Oh, that was a bing bang bong right there. Stay with it. Might go to a shallow eddy and see if we can get more face to face with them. The slow moving water, they're just wanting to ride high and be in the sun, it seems like. Got him. That was a light bite. Little patience, man. Not only sitting, waiting for the rod tip to pop, but you gotta really wait for the right time to set the hook. So I think it might be time to mosey and go check an eddy, see if they're all piled up in there or not. I'll go check something else, go check the temperature on something else. Sucks. Got a bite too. Boom. So obviously we're in a new spot here, like I said. Gonna check out a big eddy. I thought maybe we were gonna get away from these guys, but just an example of another spot you can go to. Confluence, current seam, big eddy like this one. Didn't take long, we were here 5 minutes maybe. And there's proof of life here. And that's kind of what this game is about. It's just testing the waters, quite literally, to see if they're here or not. So. Look at that red. So when you're breaking down a big eddy like this, you got your main current seam coming in, doubles back, makes this big slow eddy. I wouldn't bother fishing this gator water, this slow stuff right here. You more or less want to be as tight to that main current seam as possible. So the way I'm trying to do that is I'll cast into the current seam and let it drag my sinker to a place where it stops pretty well in parallel with that current seam. There's a bite right there. Hopefully he sticks around. Can't tell if he, oh yeah, he's still pecking on. There he is. See that? Just patience. Another little red horse. But as you can see, can't really target anything else in the spring, and we're catching fish in short order. Out here getting the suntan, getting bit. Feels pretty darn good, honestly. These fish are kind of fun to watch. They'll progress up certain sections of rivers and spots as the spring goes on, so you can start early in some spots, catch fish, and then as the season goes on, they'll be farther up little spots like this eddy. So like I said, we're at the confluence, there was some activity there, kind of had a gut feeling that we could come farther upriver to this eddy, and boy, the action's quite a bit more consistent already up here. Yeah, just like that. Another cutie. Boom. So a couple key observations today. It's getting later in the sucker season, and that we didn't catch any white suckers. Typically, the later that you go on, you start catching more of those golden redhorse, shorthead redhorse, silver redhorse, the smaller guys. So key indication. Not only that, we're seeing smallmouth. We're seeing smallmouth on beds. And so next week, we're going to be doing more on the bank series stuff. We'll be targeting bass specifically. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching episode 3 of On the Bank. Please go ahead, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.